Hello guys, welcome back to my channel, Dead Cities Diary. Imagine standing in the middle of a city. You look up, and you see something that looks like it belongs in a science fiction movie. It is a massive, sharp pyramid made of glass and concrete, shooting up into the clouds. It is taller than the Eiffel Tower. It is taller than almost every building in America. It dominates the skyline. It is the first thing you see when you arrive, and the last thing you see when you leave. But there is something very strange about this building. It has 105 floors, thousands of rooms, and elevators that go all the way to the top. But if you walk up to the front doors, they are locked. If you look in the windows at night, there are no lights. This is the Ryugyong Hotel in Pyongyang, North Korea. People call it the Hotel of Doom. For nearly 40 years, it has stood there watching over the city. It holds a Guinness World Record, but not a good one. It is the tallest unoccupied building in the world. It is a ghost skyscraper. Why does it exist? Why would a country spend millions of dollars to build a hotel that no one can stay in? Today, we are going to tell the full story of this concrete giant. We will look at why it was built, why it failed, and what is actually hiding inside those 105 floors today. Welcome to the story of the world's biggest empty building. To understand why this building exists, we have to travel back in time to the 1980s. This was the time of the Cold War. The world was divided. On one side, you had the United States and its friends. On the other side, you had the Soviet Union and its allies. In the middle of this, North Korea and South Korea were locked in a fierce competition. They were not just enemies on the battlefield. They were competing to see who had the better country, better cities, and better buildings. In the late 1980s, South Korea was winning this competition. Their economy was growing very fast. Even bigger news came when the city of Seoul was chosen to host the 1988 Summer Olympics. This was a huge moment for the South. They were inviting the whole world to come and see their success. North Korea felt left out. They needed to do something big, something massive, to steal the spotlight back. They wanted to show the world that they were powerful and modern too. So, the leaders of North Korea came up with a plan. They would host a World Festival of Youth and Students in 1989. But they needed a centerpiece. They needed a building that would make everyone's jaw drop. They decided to build the world's tallest hotel. At that time, it would have been taller than any hotel in Singapore or New York. They wanted to prove that North Korean engineering was the best on earth. They named it the Ryugyong, which is an old name for Pyongyang meaning capital of willows. Construction started in 1987. The design was very specific. Most skyscrapers are just square blocks. But the Ryugyong was designed as a pyramid with 3 wings coming together at the top. At the very peak, they planned to put 5 revolving restaurants that would spin around, giving diners a view of the whole country. The plan was incredibly ambitious. They wanted to finish it in just 2 years, just in time for their big festival in 1989. If they had finished it on time, it would have been the tallest hotel in the world. Thousands of workers were sent to the site. They worked day and night. They poured tons and tons of concrete. However, building something this big is very expensive. And it is also very hard. North Korea didn't have the same advanced construction materials that other countries had. Instead of using light steel frames, they used heavy reinforced concrete for the whole building. This made the building incredibly heavy. But they kept going. By 1989, the frame reached its full height. The concrete shell was finished. It stood huge and gray over the city. But then the problem started. They missed the deadline for the festival. The building wasn't ready. And things were about to get much worse. In 1991, a disaster happened for the North Korean economy. The Soviet Union collapsed. The Soviet Union was North Korea's main partner. They provided money, fuel, and supplies. When the Soviet Union fell apart, that help stopped instantly. North Korea's economy crashed. There was no electricity, no fuel for factories, and soon there was not enough food. The government had to make a choice. Do we spend money on feeding people and keeping the lights on, or do we spend money finishing a luxury hotel? They had no choice. In 1992, construction on the Ryugyong Hotel stopped completely. For the next 16 years, the building just sat there. It was a skeleton. It had no windows. It had no interior wires or pipes. It was just a hollow mountain of gray concrete. At the very top, a rusty construction crane was left abandoned. It stayed there for years, swinging in the wind. Travelers who visited North Korea during this time said it was very eerie. The building was so big you couldn't miss it, but the tour guides acted like it wasn't there. If a tourist asked, "What is that building?" the guides would often change the subject. It became a taboo topic. It was a symbol of failure. Western media started calling it the Hotel of Doom. Some engineers even inspected the concrete and said the building was crooked and might fall down. It looked like the Ryugyong would never be finished. But then, in 2008, something surprising happened. After 16 years of silence, construction trucks appeared at the site again. The rusty crane at the top was finally taken down. People saw workers climbing the sides of the pyramid. A company from Egypt, called Orascom, had made a deal with North Korea. They were there to build a 3G mobile phone network for the country. As part of the deal, they reportedly agreed to fix up the Ryugyong Hotel. Over the next 3 years, they covered the ugly gray concrete with shiny blue glass panels. They spent millions of dollars just on the glass. Suddenly, the Hotel of Doom didn't look like a ruin anymore. It looked like a giant, futuristic jewel. It reflected the sky and the clouds. From the outside, it looked brand new and ready to open. In 2011, officials announced that the hotel would finally open. A luxury hotel company from Germany, Kempinski, said they would manage the hotel. They planned to open shops, offices, and ballrooms on the lower floors. It seemed like the curse was finally broken. The world waited to see what the rooms looked like. But then, nothing happened. The German company pulled out of the deal. They said it was not possible to do business there. The opening date passed, and the doors stayed locked. A few lucky foreigners were allowed to go inside around this time. What they saw was shocking. While the outside looked shiny and modern, the inside was still a cave. There were no walls, no floor tiles, no electricity cables, and no plumbing. It was just bare concrete, exactly like it was in 1992. The glass was just a mask to hide the failure inside. Today, the Ryugyong Hotel serves a different purpose. In 2018, the government installed thousands of LED lights on the side of the building. Now, at night, the hotel turns into the world's biggest television screen. It plays light shows, propaganda slogans, and cartoons. It lights up the dark city. So, is it a hotel? It has never hosted a single guest. It is likely that the upper floors will never be safe to use because the concrete has been sitting exposed to the weather for too long. The elevators might never work properly because the shaft isn't perfectly straight. The Ryugyong Hotel is a 105-story pyramid that stands as a monument to ambition and failure. It was built to show the world how powerful North Korea was. Instead, it showed the world what happens when a country runs out of money but refuses to give up. It is beautiful, it is terrifying, and it is completely empty. It is the Hotel of Doom, and it will likely remain a mystery for years to come. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit the like button and subscribe for more amazing stories about the world's strangest places.